All right, going to call this meeting of the Oconee County Planning Commission to order. Start off with the invocation. County Chaplain's not here. Ms. Lyles, if you would.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we just come to you today just thanking you for this day. Thanking you for the beautiful weather that we've had. Just ask you to be with us through this meeting, Lord. Let us conduct it in a way that would be fitting for you, that we would represent our citizens, Lord, and what they want and not just what we want. That we would look out for all of the citizens of Oconee County, Lord, from the poorest to the richest, Lord, and not let anyone be pushed to the side. We just ask that you go with us through this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Pierce, if you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to do the election of officers. The way we can do this is we'll ask for nominations, and we'll vote on the nominations in the order that they come. So if person A is nominated and then someone else nominates person B, we'll vote on person A. Person A gets elected, that'll be it, and they'll run the meeting from there. If person A doesn't get elected, then we'll vote on person B, so on and so forth. So at this point, nominations for chairman for the Oconee County Planning Commission.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Pearson.
Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Johnson if he's willing.
Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Ms. Lyle if she's willing.
Can't do it. Thank you, though.
Are there any other nominations? Okay. All those in favor of Mr. Pearson being chairman, say aye, please.
Aye.
Against? All right, that's the, if anybody would like to rescind their vote at this point, they can as well. All right, and so it's in. Mr. Pearson is the chairman. There you go, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we need vice chair
And secretary.
and secretary. All right. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
Mr. Pearson. Mr. Mike.
The nominations?
Who'd she nominate?
Mr. Mike.
Oh, good. There's too much.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Clarity, excellent, sir.
If there's no further nominations, all those in favor of Mike Johnson, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we also need our secretary nomination.
Ms. Lyles, I'm sorry.
I nominate Ms. McPhail. She's always the one that corrects everything anyway.
I think we actually need to name our staff member.
Well,
Is that correct?
you don't have to, but I'm with you. My vote's with you.
No.
You don't have to. You could nominate any number. Actually, you could nominate anyone you want to. So if you'd like to nominate Ms. McPhail, of course you could.
Are you our current one?
I am your
Were
current
you?
one, yes.
Well, then I rescind my nomination. You're doing a good job.
Thank you, ma'am. So we do need a nomination for secretary, though, even though that was rescinded. Do you want to do?
So I want to nominate Mr.
There
Chapman.
we go.
How about that? Does that take
Yeah.
care of it?
Okay, we have a nomination for Mr. Chapman for secretary. Any other nominations? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, Adam, you got it again.
It's going on my resume.
Okay. Our first order of business is the minutes. Approval of minutes for 7/1/2019. They were in your backup material. Do I have any corrections or, wait a minute. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Is there any corrections or repairs?
I wasn't here, so I can't correct.
Okay. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have public comment for non-agenda items.
No comment.
We have none. Mr. Adam, would you like to go over the information on the corridor plan?
Okay, so I had a phone meeting. So the corridor in reference we're talking about is 123 between Seneca and Clemson. It's about 4.5 miles. And I had a good conversation with our consultants on that. And they had a couple of things to relay. So one, they'll be here on March 18th, 19th, and 20th, which is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Coincides with our second meeting of March. They'll come and present to us. They won't have a plan to present, but they will present some backup material and what they're doing. They'll have a series of stakeholder meetings similar to the comprehensive plan that we did, where we'll have some groups in here during the day. We'll do some field trips, and we'll hold it's called a charrette. It's a design process. We'll lay out a table with some large maps, some tracing paper on it, and as people come in, they'll get to draw out the corridor as they see it. Like physically, they say, okay, we want a intersection here, we want a tree here, we want X, Y, and Z wherever. And the consultants will take that along with their traffic information and their engineering and go away for a while. And they'll come back. And they also recommended starting a steering committee for this, a working group that will function as a steering committee. So you really have two options in this. You all can choose to be the steering committee of the planning commission, just like we are for the comprehensive plan. As such, you'll be responsible for another 3 to 5 meetings as a body. So someone they're here, and then we'll have to get together again with some focus on the corridor. Or we can have a steering committee itself, which would be comprised of a number of different entities that are stakeholders of that area. And some recommendations from them were SCDOT, that makes a lot of sense, it's their road. CAT bus, if we want to look at bus stops or bus service at all down that road. The city of Seneca and the city of Clemson, since they bookend the route, and doing it in a vacuum doesn't. I mean, they'll still be involved in some way, shape, or form, but having them involved in the process could be helpful. Perhaps some business groups, Chamber of Commerce, OEA, and then most importantly, a member of planning commission or two, and if council feels they want to be involved as well, a member of council. So what do you all think about a steering committee versus you all doing it? It'll still come to you for approval. It won't go past you.
We got the comp plan doing it now, and that we won't have to worry about two different things at one time.
I think if anything we can do to get stakeholders involved would be good.
What
Any
about,
member.
is there like someone that owns a massive amount of that property that maybe they should be considered in it?
That's an excellent question. Other than Clemson University is the largest landholder on there. So kind of in my head here, if I kind of gave you some people we could invite, and then if you all chose to have a member of the planning commission on this, then we can have that member of the planning commission, you kind of say, okay, we're going to trust you to help staff this steering committee. And that person or people will help us all get along. So landowners, definitely, we have to, I'm going to send out a letter tomorrow to a list of the 200 and however many landowners that are along that stretch. I'm going to let them know that we're having that meeting on the 18th. That's already, I got a couple drafts going. I'm going to mail them out. They're going to know. We're going to maybe get an advertisement or two out. We'll definitely get landowners involved. You're correct. We have to get them involved. So steering committee, yes, we like that idea. So if we could do a motion and vote on that, we'll need a few of these. I'm sorry, this is going to feel like vote heavy on this, but I just want to make sure we get all the steps in play. So if you all care to have a steering committee for this corridor study, we would need a vote on it.
Make a motion that we have a steering committee to work with the consultants on development of the corridor for 123.
Second.
Further discussion, any discussion on this matter? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Fail.
Adam, do you have a slide that you can show us who's gonna make up the steering committee again?
I don't have a slide for that.
Okay.
Let's kind of work down that. I got my little laundry list here so we can get this going. So we're gonna have a steering committee. Would you all like to have a member of planning commission on this?
I think so. I think we need at least maybe 2 members of planning commission on it.
So if you all want to do that, go ahead and so you all are gonna have to nominate at least one person to be on it if you all want to have a person on there. So that's
And it
how,
has to come to, everything from them has to come to us anyway, right?
that's correct. I mean, at the end of the day, the steering committee is gonna have something, and it's gonna be presented to you all, and that's how it'll work, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Which district is that in?
3. That'd be Mr. Vassi's.
Is all of it in 3?
I think there,
Yeah.
I will double check.
Well, it starts at Eagles and goes down to the bridge, so I think all that would be.
I will double check here real quick.
We got funny lines right down through there.
That's,
Nominate if he wants to do it.
Sure, yeah.
You need a motion in here that we nominate, that we have a planning commission member on the steering committee, and that to start with, the primary one should be that representative of that district, or do you want it just as a single?
that sounds great.
Okay. There's no motion. Will that work?
It just worked.
Okay.
I second that.
Yeah, I would like to ask if I could be an observer, since if this progresses forward, the district that I represent would probably be a candidate for another corridor. And I would like to be at least an observer.
Of course, we can have up to up to 3 members of the planning commission at any of the meetings. So just because you're not on the steering committee doesn't mean you can't come.
Okay,
So-
we're not just limiting ourselves to one person then.
No, I hope I said at least.
That's correct. You said to start with, so that was the person whose district it would be. So that would be, for this case, would be Mr. Vassie. If you want to have a second member on there, or you're certainly welcome to do that. That's up for you all to have that conversation, motion, vote.
Did you confirm that yet on if it's?
Oh,
all
I'm
in
sorry, I
his
started
district?
talking. Voting precincts and council districts. This is Lyles for the win. The 5 gets in the very about, the last quarter of it.
Yeah.
What is it, last quarter?
So
5.
y'all,
Five.
5 comes over there
Yeah,
at
we
the-
come over,
at the
Bay
lake?
Shore is in 5. I mean, we've got a weird line right there.
Yeah. If y'all like to have another member on there, you're certainly welcome to. That's up to y'all.
Do you need that in a,
I can do it.
Awesome. So that'd be another motion to
I'd
have.
like to make a motion.
You're saying 3 to 5 more meetings, not another meeting every single month, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, another 3 to 5 meetings, but this is gonna be this is gonna be like the comprehensive plan process where it's gonna stretch on for a year. This will be a fairly compact
Okay.
meeting cycle. And, yeah,
I'd like to make a motion that Ms. Wiles be on the steering committee as well.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
all right. Now, if we would like to have a member of council on, you all would have to do a motion and vote to recommend to council that you would like to ask council to be part of this process, council member, if that's something you so choose. And they could decide who, if that was something that you all wanted.
I think we should, invite them to, should they desire, but, I don't think we can do anything to compel them to.
We need a motion,
To send an invitation?
yes.
Gotcha.
Is that a motion? We got a second? And I'll second.
any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay.
Okay, so as far as staffing the steering committee, I mentioned some other. Would Mr. Vass and Ms. Lyles, would you all like to be involved in getting together and putting that steering committee together? Or is that something I should just go on as I've been kind of?
I mean, I like all the ones you named off. as long as the property owners are in there.
Now, I will definitely invite them. There'll be a invitation out, and if you know any of the larger landowners, I think we do know a few names, I'll reach out to you too, and I'll let you know the progress. All right?
I would like to try and have Clemson on board with that.
It's Clemson University, City of Clemson, or both?
I think both.
The property owners.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, since Clemson University owns so much of it, I think they need to be a part of it if
Plus,
possible.
Excellent.
a lot of the Clemson land is tied up with deeds of gift that they can do some stuff but not other stuff. So, I mean, I don't think the county can control Clemson property anyway, but they ought to get a voice.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Are these gonna be members of the city councils that you were talking about, or just who in general for Seneca and Clemson?
I would, just because of my department, I'd reach out to the planning department for Clemson and Seneca and have them give me some input as to who would do it, and they'd probably bring it up to their administrators and figure out whether it's gonna be elected, appointed, or staff member. Kind of let them figure out who's gonna show up. But SCDOT is definitely the one that we're gonna work, and we have a good relationship with SCDOT. So, yeah, that's what I got for the corridor plan.
And the businesses that are already there? They're out there on that corridor?
Mhm.
May not be the actual landowner, they just be, but their business is there, so we need to maybe involve them as well, because this will, have something to do with their business if this.
I'll certainly put out in the letter, if they'd like to be involved, contact me. This is gonna go to every property owner, and probably multiple property owners are gonna get multiple letters from me, just because we just have a list and are gonna go with it.
Can I ask again, does anybody have an objection if I tag along as an observer? Okay.
I think any citizen in the county can show up at the meetings and,
The only thing, we have to make sure we have no more than 3 planning commission members at the meeting at one time.
If you're gonna start talking as
Quorum,
business,
and you have to have an actual meeting. We'll have to do like council did in Clemson City. Council, and then afterwards had to,
we did the same thing with the ag board at a council meeting as well.
yeah, that's right.
All right, so that was what I had for corridor plan, sir.
All right, do we have any public comment for that section? Okay. Is there any other discussion about the corridor plan?
Do we have any developers that is eyeing that stretch that we need to have involved too? That might be something you need to,
I only know of one development that's kinda in the works, and I can certainly invite them. I have a good, working record with them, but I can certainly reach out and see if they'd like to be involved. They are doing a significant project there. So certainly I can reach out to.
And I'm just, one other group that might be, and because we talked about it, and that is Shiloh Road that cuts across, that might be the alternative route. Or would it be wise perhaps to send some of those folks notifications of the meetings?
Sure.
So that, because their property might be impacted by decisions that are made.
I can pick a distance up Shiloh Road, like a quarter mile. I mean, like how far?
How far
Would you say?
before it would go to where it goes on into town? Half a mile? 3/4?
So this would be from junction of 123 up Shiloh or down Shiloh. Yeah, I would just need some kind of distance to
You
go
know, there's
with.
the cut through that goes around beside the airport. And then there's the cut through that goes up by the mobile home park across from, now it's 7-Eleven, I think, and they changed it several times, but anyway, and then it
that
goes
little
straight
Roadrunner
into town.
station? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and both of those we talked about them as alternative routes to help the traffic load. I don't know what the distance, I know the one at the what used to be a mobile home park. It's now that Air Green Recycling thing on the right. That's what, less than a quarter of a mile from 123 to that road that goes into Seneca on the backside.
Are you saying that they need to be notified
I'm just saying they need to be notified if there's gonna be action taken on 123, it's likely to impact their property.
Well, also, if we go up Old Clemson Highway, across from the little Roadrunner convenience store there,
Because it won
goes by the
93.
food line and goes up to Shiloh Corinth Fire Station.
This will go on WGOG or.
That's
In the
true.
newspaper
That's
and
true.
things of
Fine.
that nature. Okay, so Shiloh comes out, Maine down there, comes out pretty far into Seneca. It doesn't really come out to 123 where, or does it? I mean, I'm just,
No, it comes out over from 123. It comes out,
Right.
Clemson Marina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it comes out, it used to be the fishing hole.
Yeah, it's back
That,
open.
that
Fish
is
hole again.
the
doesn't-
back way to goes down to the lake.
yeah,
then
it
comes
doesn't
around to
necessarily
J.P.
intersect
Stevens.
123 though, does it?
Old Seneca River Road, I think's the name of it. Like
No, it
Shiloh
does not
turns-
intersect, but it is certainly I would say it's the next spot of development, simply because it lays between
It's
J.P.
almost
Stevens and,
parallel.
yeah.
It does run parallel.
And that's okay, I mean, if it's too much and you're sure that it'll be advertised.
I'm sure it'll be advertised.
Um,
But gosh, we talk about stuff that deals with the entire county.
They'll only have
Had
two people
vacant
here.
seats, So
Yeah.
I think that to just let people know that we're dealing with this corridor through advertising, until we actually really start coming up with plans and then send out a mailing to say, hey, we're about to plow your road up, and they should know, but until that time, if we're just in a planning capacity,
Except for 123 residents.
for 123.
Right,
Okay.
right, yeah. Until that consultant group starts coming up with some objectives.
Well, the corridor itself, 123, how wide is that corridor?
The SCDOT right-of-way varies, but it's about 200 feet, give or take, from center line.
Okay, so that doesn't include Shiloh Road in any way, 'cause it's.
Not in this
like a
case, no,
mile
sir.
or so.
They're just worried about the traffic impact diverting over that way. Which that's a big diversion. I mean, you've got to kind of go out of the way, other than that one little spot right there at the red light. It's really the only convenient way to access it.
Well, up there at the 7-Eleven, it's a
Yeah,
pretty quick
that's
shot
what I'm
straight
talking
in.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
right
pretty
there.
quick shot into Seneca.
In the past few years, since traffic in Clemson on 123 has gotten so bad, I see a lot more traffic on Shiloh Road.
Sure.
I guess Tom
123 's
probably
a
comes that
nightmare.
way from Anderson.
Yeah, well, especially considering it's gonna be between what was the old J.P. Stevens
Yeah.
and this, and all kinds of new student housing and, yes, one more place to avoid in the county. I don't pick a time, I just stay away.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on this, let's move on to item number 8, the comprehensive plan. Mr. Adams?
There was no public sign up for it. All right, so advertising. We're assembling a advertising swarm through the newspapers, both the Journal, the Kiwi Courier, and the Westminster News, as well as WGOG and the Lake. We're kind of coming up with a strategy, and hopefully we'll have something running by in between the next, after this meeting, before the next one, possibly before the end of the month at least, we'll have something up to run. If people don't know about it, they're gonna try to not know about it. That's really the intent here, is like, we're gonna let people know. So, that's what we got with advertising. During the workshop, we talked about statistically relevant surveys. There's very few places that do it, around in this general area, and I don't wanna reach out to Minnesota and California for people to have to come over here and do it. So I got an email out, or hopefully I can find someone. Clemson doesn't do it. There are a couple universities in the southeast, the south, that kind of do it. So I've reached out to a couple groups, and let's see what happens with that. district meetings. So we're gonna go out in the districts, as we said a number of times, to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is, I feel, a great opportunity for us to really go into the public. What is y'all's thoughts on you all picking the places and the times for us to do it at versus me finding a
We
library?
need to go to Mountain Rest and Long Creek area,
Well, yeah, all the areas, right?
and maybe even the Madison area. Cause I know there's, at least in Mountain Rest and the Madison area, they usually have a meeting. I'm not sure if it's community or if there's a certain group, but, they have a meeting out there at the fire station once a month, and Mountain Rest, I think, has a once a month meeting at the, Hillbilly Day. And it seems to me that Long Creek has a meeting, I don't know if it's a once a month, but they have a meeting there at the old school lunchroom. But I don't know if it's once a month or what that is, but those three places we need to reach out to, because those are long distance areas out in our county, and it's a lot for somebody to come to a 6 o'clock meeting from Long Creek, and then our meeting lasts an hour or hour and a half, and then they have to drive, and it's 8:30 before they get home.
That's correct. So we are gonna go out in the districts. So would you all like to place the meetings, like where they should be, or give me some input as to where we should have them? We have libraries I can use in Westminster and Seneca. What,
So you're talking about continuing meetings with comp plan, right?
that'd be for comp plan. We don't necessarily have to have a full meeting of planning commission. I would hope that,
You want a community
the community
with some
meetings.
of us there.
Right, I would hope that just one or more of y'all would be there. I can certainly pick where, I can try to find places where, but I think you all know your areas better than I do.
Are the schools available?
Sure, I mean, I would have to ask, but I can't see why not. They've been willing to work with us in the past.
Well, in the past, I remember, when they updated the comp plan, we did one at Duke Energy.
Okay.
And there, of course, will be very available. And I was thinking on the other side of the lake, if that middle school was available. Kiwi School on Kiwi School Road.
Elementary school.
Elementary.
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 And I think Fair Oak would be a good place to.
Yeah.
Cause it's sort of, I mean, obviously they picked it for a reason, so.
Either that or the church. The church would probably, let us use where they have the hot dog sale for the fire department and all that big,
South Union?
no, the Earl Grove.
Earl Grove?
It's on the other end of road from Fair Oak. We could probably use that.
If we could get the school, I mean, I could ask the church, I'm a member of Earls Grove, but, the school, I think, would be easier, and I think it would be easier.
Everybody would know where it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody knows where they are.
Sure.
Mhm,
Well, if
they're-
we were gonna do that, we could use the Oakway school. The old Oakway High School there, we own anyway, the county owns anyway, so we could actually use that. They've got a room there that we could use for a meeting. That's where the,
Fair Oak Youth Center actually owns that
Yeah,
now,
Fair-
the county doesn't.
well, we still own it, we just lease it to them, but that meeting we went to, Mike, we could use that, we could probably use that room. It was a pretty good sized room to.
If that elementary school isn't available, what about the career center?
Well, that wouldn't be in our district, the career center. The elementary school is square in the middle of.
Yeah, Fair Oak
that
Elementary is gonna,
lower. It is,
it's
it is,
you can cover half of 4 and 5
yeah.
with Fair Oak Youth Center.
So
I
with
mean,
Fair Oak Youth Center,
Elementary.
Fair Oak Elementary, that'd be 4 and 5, and you owe, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for Seneca, City of Seneca, what are we thinking?
Well, I think 5, since we're so,
Right,
I need to cover up the Bay Shore area
Sure.
too, so maybe Ravenel.
That would,
okay. Mr. Bradley, Mr. Massey, what are you thinking your
Well, I
alternates?
had suggested the elementary school,
Yep.
which I thought was a middle school. It goes to show you how far out. And then the Duke Energy over on the other side.
Got it.
Yeah, that'll do good up there.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Just make sure we add Long Creek in for District 4
Where in Long Creek?
Yeah,
at the old school right there beside, well, I don't know what it's called.
Long
It's
Creek
the old,
Academy,
the old school right beside the fire department,
Long Creek County.
I think
the old
so.
lunchroom.
Mr. Land also said that if you wanted to reach out to him, he could probably connect you, because I know a portion of the year he does like community potluck suppers to get the community together, and so he might also be willing to reach out to somebody,
Certainly.
help set up. And I can also put you in touch with somebody from Mountain Rest who said they would be very interested in helping. They probably have it like at that Hillbilly Day place, the
think it-
house across from.
At Madison, your only options are either the fire station or the church.
With the, Jack Collins would be a good one to get in touch with to find out when they have their meetings or out there, because they have it at the fire station. But Jack Collins would be a good contact for that, to find out when that meeting's out there in the Madison area is.
Great. Okay,
Have we got those locations down?
yeah,
Can we one step back? We're talking about surveys, we're talking about reaching out to different places,
Mhm.
they were out of state in this and that. It sounded as though you were looking for a company that would solicit people in a survey. I know we were talking as far as the group, we had asked them to come up with a survey of questions that we could distribute out.
Mhm.
I didn't want to mix up the two, because
Right.
unless somebody else has talked about a survey where we're doing a phone solicitation, I don't know that we've done an outreach like that. It's been more of we need somebody to come up with questions that we can send out.
Surveys we're working on. We are definitely on working on, so we've been back and forth with that for the last couple weeks. But because there was brought up the relevance of the survey. So when we do a survey, so for instance, it's good to get input, but if, let's say, sorry, Mr. Markovich fills out a survey, and he's all about, we need to have more restrictions on the land and less ability to use your land, and he's the only one you hear, it's not statistically relevant. So I look for that, but we're definitely working on surveys, and I will get you actually, we got a copy of questions here that I'm not gonna show anyone but you.
We met with the library folks. They all asked about that. Where do we go to fill out a form? Discuss some of the basic questions we have, but we definitely need to drill down more into what information we're getting back to drill down into more details of that.
Yes, sir.
That was my only question.
Sure.
When you were talking about outside corporate companies in out of state to do survey, I didn't.
Because I wanted to see what the cost it would be to get a scientific survey done. And the more I look at, so Greenville County had one done, a statistically relevant survey done, and they sent out, don't quote me on the numbers, like 20,000 surveys to people, and they got 475 back. Like, it seemed expensive. But I just want to check, see, maybe it's something that we could do, but it's just kind of looking at various options we have. So district meetings we covered. We did during the workshop talk about an executive summary, Cliff's notes of sorts for once we are at the end. Once we do all the elements, consultants will take all the elements and kind of distill it down into a really kind of easy manual of, this is the comp plan light. Here's the rest of the comp plan heavy, but here's comp plan light. That being said, as we go through each element, so for instance, with this population element, I believe, Mr. Johnson, you had pointed out that growth is slowing, and that's even though we're still growing, it's slowing down. And that's something that seems like really important. So we can, if you just highlight that, or some way, let that be known that we want that in the executive summary, that we can start stocking getting some backup data for the executive summary. That way, at the end of it, the ladies, Carol and Cheryl, aren't calling me like, hey, what do you think should be in there? So as we go through it, just kind of circle a couple things that are like the top things to you in there, and we'll get them in the executive summary. We'll also work towards like a vision statement, things of that nature, once we get through the data collection process in a few months. And that should be a little more creative time for y'all. So if you all don't have any other questions for me regarding kind of the back of the house for the comprehensive plan, we got the goals section. The only change in this goals section is that I put it in a larger font. It makes it easier to read on the screen. And it's the exact same backup material, I just put the goals in front of it. So at this point in time, I believe this would be a good time for you all to review the goals, kind of line by line. Any edits that need to be done really need to be done on the dais up here, because if you just email me changes, they often conflict with other changes people gave me. So this is the time to do any edits, do you think that this is a good goal? Yes. All right, is that a good objective? Yes. Is that a good strategy? No. We need to change this, that, and the other thing. So this is the time for you all to go at it, so I've talked enough.
My, where it has accountable agencies, and it just says municipalities, that's just the cities, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's leaving out the majority of our county, if they're making those decisions, because there's way more rural county than there is
You
municipalities.
talking about right here?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of them where the municipalities are the ones making those decisions. All the way through it.
So right here, this is Oconee County and the municipalities. Like these are multiple, so this is the county.
Each one of
It
those
just-
lines is
It doesn't have an and in there. We need to put an and in there then. Because
Okay.
it just says Oconee County municipalities.
Okay, so each of these is a separate line. So like Oconee County, ACOG, and this is neighboring jurisdictions. Oconee County service providers. Each of these is individuals. I can certainly fix that if that's a point
put a
of
comma.
clarity. Where did I put all my stuff right?
But see, like Oconee Economic Alliance, that's two lines, but that's one thing. So it could be kind of confusing with like
Alright.
it was to me, with the Oconee County municipalities.
Put bullet points. Gotcha. Okay, that's easy.
yes.
Okay, certainly.
I didn't have it on the first page. I didn't.
Okay, the teachers
You
will
wanna
come
go
up just
to-
for half a second.
Do it.
Strategy 2111, you cannot measure understanding truly. That's not on a countywide basis, we can't. So, to me, it should say monitor demographic patterns in the county and its municipalities in order to respond to growth.
So with any of the edits here, just so we're all on board, and that way I'm saying you're wrong, we could probably, if we want to edit it like this, motion vote it, that way it's all very clear, that way we don't have any sort of misunderstanding at the end or anything of that nature.
So do I need to make that as a motion? I'd like to make a motion that we remove to understand and phrase it so that it says monitor demographic patterns in the county and its municipalities in order to respond to growth and the changing needs of residents.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Any other changes?
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, this is what this is
No,
for,
okay.
this is what this is for.
2121, 2122, 2122 and 2121, whatever. I move that we strike continue to and continue to. We're making goals for the future, so we should create economic opportunities for residents and potential residents through recruitment and retention. And we should develop and promote policies and programs. We're looking into the future, not saying we've already done it, we're going to keep doing it.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do you need a time frame, or do you need us to come up with a time frame on these, strategies?
That column.
In the last, where you got it highlighted in yellow?
I believe we do. If we want to look at just the content at the moment, I think we're on a pretty good roll here. We look at the content from that way, because I feel it'd be very easy for us to get hung up on a time frame. So so it's my opinion, you all do it how you want to, that we go through the words first and we come back and look at goals. And also, this isn't the last time we'll see this. So if there's something that you don't love and it's in here, maybe make it be known. But if you wanna go ahead, we can work on it. This won't be the last instance we see this. This will just be able, allow us to go to the next step. So, I'm gonna turn the page over. So we're looking at 2124, that page with 2124 on it, is that correct?
I'd like to make a motion that in 2124, we strike the words continue to. And it should be worded at Tri-County Technical, blah, blah, to improve educational quality and access.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to look at 213.2, the homeless situation. What is the Upstate Consortium Continuum of Care? What is that?
It is the blanket organization that handles a lot of the funding, a lot of the distribution for the homeless populations, which I believe we have, yeah.
I was thinking about putting a period after the word homeless and striking out and provide needed services for the county's homeless population. It seems like it says it earlier there and we're being redundant. In other words, it would say, and explore efforts to prevent and eliminate homelessness, period, and just strike out and provide needed services for the county's homeless population.
Preventing and eliminating isn't necessarily gonna happen quick enough to not provide for them.
Okay?
I think I read it as two different things, providing for the ones that are there, and then we're gonna work with them to try to get them out of that situation.
All right. We need to list in the column, the next column, any of the agencies that we have, like our Daily Bread or the Food Bank or Habitat or any of that.
I think we could be specific, more specific if you like to. I think that it's under the local service agencies. I think that kind of is catch-all, but if there's something that you really want to point out, for instance, I know we've spoke about Habitat, if you thought that Habitat is something that we really should focus on, because this is a great place to kind of put that, if we know that, because, Mr. Smith used to work for, or used to be on the board, correct, with Habitat, sir?
So, but we also have limited space here. We're gonna end up with
Well,
this.
As a school teacher again, 2132, I'd like to make a motion that we strike encourage participation by and reword it as provide opportunities for appropriate local service agencies and organizations. Then we strike in the Upstate Consortium Continuum of Care through the annual point-in-time homeless count, and then phrase the rest of it, to explore efforts to prevent and eliminate homelessness and provide needed services for the county's homeless population. Would you like to see that in writing?
Yes,
Sure.
please. I'll come get it from you.
Could never get it all down.
And what it would end up saying is provide opportunities for appropriate local service agencies and organizations to explore efforts to prevent and eliminate homelessness and provide needed services for the county's homeless population. That way you are not limiting it only to those listed. And it's an actionable goal rather than a let's shoot for.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I was reading on the population about the homeless. In the very last paragraph, beyond that, because the homeless was 63 people that were counted, is our free and reduced lunch program actually affects 5,200 people in our county. And yet there's nothing under here under the goals as far as at least maintaining. I don't know if that needs to be or not.
I think that's a very admirable cause, I mean,
It was just,
I like it.
homeless was mentioned as a specific thing, and there's 63 people that are identified as homeless, and there's 5,200 people that are identified as in need of.
This seems like the appropriate place and time to put that as as a strategy or as a objective? I think, what'd you think? So,
And I don't know how that's funded, so I don't know if that's a county program that provides that or not, but if we,
State.
That's a USDA program, isn't it? Is it not?
The lunch,
The
yeah,
free
that's
lunches are
federal.
USDA,
Federal.
that's a federal
Okay.
program.
Yep.
so it really isn't necessarily then a county goal.
it could, it could be a county goal to find a way to get those kids off. I mean, that's the general thing, like if
to
there's.
elevate those families out of that poverty level.
There you
because
go.
They have to be they have to be down there pretty good to,
That's a,
but if we could, we need to get our poor population elevated out of that level with better jobs, better opportunities, less drugs, that kind of thing.
if the free lunch is a federal mandate, how can we tie that in? This is, I mean, this is Mr. Johnson, I think that's perfect, like, I mean, I appreciate y'all editing, wordsmithing it, but the content part, like, feel free to fire off with these things. So how do we wanna look at that? What you said, Ms. Lyles, was excellent.
So would that fall in objective 212 or 213 with families to remain in Oconee County? If we're looking at creating more opportunities to reduce that number.
Well, our free lunch kids, they're special populations. Cause
I don't necessarily like that
No.
special population.
Well, it could go under 212, so objective 2.1.2, encourage young adults and families to remain in Oconee County. Strategy 2.1.22, continue to develop and promote policies and programs that improve economic opportunities for residents and potential residents, although it doesn't necessarily dive as deep down the socioeconomic ladder. I mean, but we could certainly improve that strategy or add another one. What do you think?
Well, it also kind of ties into the education part because, if we can get the education level up there, through trade schools or, through the career center, then, these people have a better chance of coming out of poverty.
Mhm.
So you can kind of tie it in between those two somehow.
Or what if we change the wording of 2.1.3 instead of special populations to, because there's 4 strategies under there, and it seems an appropriate place that this is a struggling group of population, no different than homeless, maybe. As far as the fact that we want to make sure that we're providing support at the county level if need be or possible, maybe we change special population to something else that then would encompass.
I just don't like
put it
the
in
word
there.
special population. That needs to be something else. Not sure what. Because those guys that are homeless, they don't feel real special.
So if we could ask staff, make a motion to ask staff to look at that objective or that, and reword the special population or reword that, and include an element there as far as the segment of population of the reduced or free lunch.
the students, lower socioeconomic student population.
If no one has objection, Tom would like to say something.
Try to make this real quick. For the record, Adam, I'm Tom Markovich.
Thanks.
One, when it comes to homeless populations, I used to be on the Fannie of Me Advisory Board, and I worked with individuals from about half the United States. Some of them were involved in homeless operations and stuff like that. Number one, don't assume that everybody who is homeless wants a home. Many of them desire to be homeless, period. Two, when we start looking at free and reduced lunch programs, some of these are going to key in and be very tied to housing programs, Section 8, various other mechanisms. So when you begin to look at free and reduced lunch, you're going to end up eventually when you get your housing section, looking at Section 8 housing. Do you really want to be able to start going down that road in terms of, I mean, we're talking about, in a sense, almost social engineering. Some of these people who are on free and reduced lunch prefer to be there. And that's not saying that they're not gonna want opportunities to be able to strive for something different. But some of them are just, it is a culture. I don't know how you change that culture, and maybe planning commission can do that, I don't know. But,
You also begin to get into the report cards of the schools and the rankings in the Title IX, Title V, Title II, and their budgeting installment, because if you alter the number of free lunch students, you alter where they fall, and then you alter their budgets. So, not to say that we
No,
don't need to
it's-
come up with free lunches, but we are certainly.
Everyone is encouraged to fill out that form whether you think you need it or not. Coming as a parent,
Right.
you're given that form whether you think you need free or reduced lunch, you're encouraged to fill out that form.
Because the more that are on that, the more money the school gets.
And the more lunch, cafeteria workers they can hire.
So since it's not that seems like it does overlap in the county.
Yes.
It does. I'm
It
not saying,
feels like-
we're
it
not
feels like
saying
they're
it doesn't. We're saying that it's an awfully complex problem and might need to be somewhere, it might need to be its own set of goals, objectives, and strategies with a whole nother steering committee.
Well, I mean, we can certainly look into it. Let me dig deeper into it. I'll get a report back to you for the next meeting. I think that this is the good stuff doing the comp plan. Like, you have identified a problem, there's 5,600 kids, you all are trying to do something about it. That's the good stuff. This is the feel-good stuff, at least to me. So yeah, I'll dig in and I'll see what we can do. And if you have any thoughts, we'll do some research, see what other comprehensive plans have in them in the area as far as that's done. But looking at, find a way, even if we can't address the lunch themselves, as Ms. Lytle said, find a way to get rid of the problem.
The only reason I bring up something like that is that we've asked and we've suggested to the county and to the citizens of the county that this plan, when finished, is something that they can come to their county councilman and say, you need to be following these objectives. And if we don't have certain things in there, or if we do have certain things in there, I think it helps other organizations come and say, y'all should be supportive of us based on your comprehensive plan. It's the only reason I had even brought it up with because there were such a large population.
I think the way to address that population is to address the family, not necessarily to address the school situation, is to address the family situation of, we don't have enough high-paying jobs, or we don't have enough skilled workers, or whatever. I think that's the way to address the children being affected.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think if you can address increasing the median income
Right,
for a family, I mean, that's what that's based on, free lunch anyway.
exactly.
And just on an aside, I know it's been told to me a number of times. What'll really scare you is if the numbers that I've been given are correct, somewhere in the 10 to 11,000 students in the school district of Oconee County. That is approximately the same as it was when I came here. But yet, look at the comparison of the budget, and then you throw in 5,200 on free lunches. That's half of that student population. It would be interesting to me to know if that number is correct, if in fact over nearly 30 years, the number of students in this county have not changed.
Oh, yeah,
Considerably.
I met with Dr.
Yeah,
Thorsland, and it stayed like within, I don't know, 1,000 students, something like that, either way.
Duty to repopulate Oconee
So-
County.
I was in second grade 30 years ago. I'd say it's about the same.
And I wonder what the free lunch was 30 years ago.
Probably not, well, that's
No,
based on
I
a
bet it
federal,
wasn't.
Considerably less.
that's based on a federal number, correct?
Right, exactly.
So-
It is based on, do you make this or not, and that is, you provide no backup for that whatsoever.
Right.
There's no enforcement of, you just simply put down what it is, and nobody ever checks.
Yeah.
So Mr. Johnson did make a motion to have wordsmith this and look at some of the other options. Was there a second for that? And vote?
Second. Any further discussion on Mike's motion?
And that was
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One thing I did notice was that our population is aging in our county,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's gonna wind up costing us more and more. So how do we attract young people to the county? Because you got to have the young people here to
A water
offset
park.
that.
That's an excellent question. What we do have here in the first goal is first goal, second objective, 2.1, the first page, the bottom of it. Seek opportunities to provide or encourage entertainment and recreation options for young adults and families. And we could probably add something there to increase because the objective would be to encourage young adults and families to remain in Oconee County. But you're asking ways to draw them in. So we could either add strategy there, or
Maybe 212 should be encourage and attract young family, or, I don't know, because you've got in 2121, it does say create economic opportunities for residents and potential residents through recruitment and retention of industry. So it's almost like you are trying to attract, but in 212, it just says encourage families to remain in Oconee County.
we can change that if you like. What would you like to say? To help with that.
So you're saying for the general goal,
I don't,
have it say encourage and attract young adults and families to live in Oconee County?
yeah, I kinda like
Yeah,
that.
or encourage young adults and families to remain or relocate to Oconee County. I don't know if that,
Does that need to be a motion?
Which one? Because Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry, Mr. Vassy and Mrs. McPhail both gave options. What are we looking at there?
give her a minute, she'll have
Oh, no, I'm encourage and attract young adults and families to live in Oconee County.
it. Hey, that sounds
To
good.
remain.
Yeah.
So that's your motion. I need a
Easy
second.
That's fine.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll second or whatever. I need
Second.
to.
Any further discussion?
Put me down there.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Anything on objective 2212.2.1?
So before we step off of that,
Sure.
I thought it real interesting looking at the graph in the population element on page 213. That when you look at the demographic, the lowest median age was in this 307 area, which was 30 years old. The highest median age was up in 302. Those two made very interesting sense. 307 being a lot of that student population coming over from Clemson, and then the higher being retirees up in those lake communities, and then the Walhalla being kind of a 37-year-old median age family kind of scenario. But as a county, if in fact that 307 area is growing with obvious student population, maybe that's an area where we should start focusing as far as here's young professionals that go to Clemson, or young folks that go to Clemson. Median age is actually 30, it's not 20. Is that why that's a 30-year-old group? I mean,
I think it's a 30-year-old group because you've got old farmers out there, and then you've got the literally, and then you've got the.
But it wasn't an
students, The 20 years.
But the interesting part is it wasn't an average, it was a median. And so it was the highest population
It might be grad students tend to move a little
to
bit
move a
farther
little
away.
bit farther
from
out. So
campus.
maybe that's an area of the county that we at least are aware of, so that when a brewery wants to come in, or something that would attract that we're gung-ho as a county saying, yeah, what can we do to help that and encourage that? That's all I'm saying is in some of our goals, if we have natural things occurring, we should be pointing out, hey, if somebody asks about this, let's do whatever we can as a county to be supportive of that.
We should have opportunities in this county to keep a lot of those students from Clemson, but we don't have the jobs here that they can just transfer over to our county. But we could keep a lot of them if we had the right kind of jobs for them here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to go recruit anywhere else but just down the street to get the jobs.
So how do we turn that into a goal? I mean, I think a lot of you agree with that. So how do we formalize that into a goal, objective, or strategy?
So, are we working with, the economic development folks in whatever capacities we can, or continue to work with them within our industrial parks and things like that to, as a county, to be as supportive or financially supportive or ability to, so that we are recruiting.
Isn't that 2.1.2.1? Create economic opportunities for residents and potential residents through recruitment and retention of industries and
So
businesses.
it's already there.
I mean, yeah, we
it's a
have that
little-
already
it's
under the
broader.
order of families that,
I do have a meeting with, it's called SHRM, it's the HR group for all the I guess the large manufacturing groups in our county have this like kind of a biannual meeting. I'm working on trying to attend one of those as well to kind of get some input, because, we all say that industry, they need affordable housing, they need workers, they need this, we know this to be true, but the same way we knew DHEC had a minimum lot size, it was just anecdotal evidence. So I'd really like to drill down and get some hard data behind that, so we're working on getting more of that. That's why this won't be the last time we see the population element, because we're still gathering that data.
And maybe we should add, under accountable agencies there, maybe we should add Clemson University, like, we need to tap into that. We have a viable resource there. We need to tap into it.
For 2 point, for which one?
or which one?
The create economic opportunities for residents and potential residents through recruitment and retention. We can
Put it under
recruit from
accountable
Clemson.
agencies.
2.121.
So 2.1,
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1.
It's interesting that Greenville has Clemson incubators in Greenville, but you're right where we are. We aren't encouraging them to be here.
That's very interesting. And we do have a lot of Clemson's hardware on this side of the river. I mean, their facilities maintenance, their police office, everything like that, that's over here.
And since they own so much of this property on 123, why not, coordinate with them? What can you do there that helps us out, and what can we do that helps you out at the same time?
That's great.
Corridor plan right there.
We can integrate, and so also the people who are working on the comp plan and the corridor plan, we're all working together on this, we're not duplicating efforts, and we'll definitely stay in touch. So any information we garner for the corridor plan, we can add to the comp plan and vice versa.
Can you put down some note to ask of our consultants how that should best be worded as an objective? And if it should be in a population element?
How to word the,
That we're in a discussion that Clemson University is right here, and yet we're not working with incubators within our own county so close. And I don't exactly know even that I'm using that word correctly.
We're just not utilizing the resource. I mean, Clemson is a vital resource, and we're not utilizing it.
So that might fall under objective 2.23 when we get on to promote higher levels of educational attainment and job readiness as we move closer with Clemson.
Well,
Or,
and
you know,
the other
maybe-
thing is we certainly can add Clemson University on that strategy 2.1.2.4,
What I was gonna say.
because they are an accountable agency.
Because we got all the others listed there, school district, private schools, Tri-County Tech,
Add Clemson
and
University
Clemson to
there.
there.
I don't know that if it's changed, but I know that one of the issues that we had for a long time in this county was, Tri-County Tech would tell students who took when they go and it was before the bridge, but
The
it
transfer
was kind
courses.
of the transfer classes, but it kind of, I don't think it changed a whole lot with the bridge. They told them certain things counted for certain things, and then you would go over there to Clemson, and the guidance people there would laugh and go, yeah, well, we know that's what they told you, but here's what it really is.
They're working much better
And-
together now to,
So,
make sure
as
that
long as
they
that's-
that
as
the
long
credits
as-
transfer.
yeah, that would be something, and to me, I mean, I know that's not necessarily the county's job, but if we're gonna say that we're gonna work with them, then somewhere in there, we've actually got to have some sit-down meetings and ask our schools, is it easy to transfer from Tri-County to Clemson? Is it easy to, is there something that you could offer at Hamilton Career Center that provided a certificate that, does not require then, they can move on to a higher level of training at Tri-County Tech instead of simply disallowing a certificate at Hamilton Career Center and making them go to Tri-County to get that certification.
I think we need to utilize the Career Center more, because trade jobs,
They're huge.
if they can come straight out of high school, a lot of these kids don't want to go to college. If they can get that in high school and come straight out and go to work, and there's so many of those jobs open out there, we really need to target the Career Center and getting the right programs in there for our county.
You need to dovetail with the employers too, because a lot of these trades require so much experience
Right.
before you can go take your licensing requirements, electrician, plumbing, whatever.
Which a lot of them, will do the co-op program where they go to school and then they'll co-op with a company, and work with them. My husband did it. He worked at a car dealership 4 days a week, went to school 1 day a week. He got his experience and his education at the same time. We need to make sure we have that in place. So when they graduate, they can get a job.
All right, so how do we formulate that into is that something we want to put in the comp plan? And where do we put it and how do we put it in there? So I like it. It's a great idea, the Hampton Career Center. What you said to me, seems very correct. How do we go about actualizing that?
Well, it seems like maybe there's a disconnect between the student population, who, as Ms. Lyle said, not all of them want to go to college, but they don't necessarily know what direction they are going. Coordinate that missing link between the student population and that trade industry. Whether it be at the school level or whether it be at some other level, to at least discuss with the schools that, hey, this is a need we're seeing from our community residents.
I think we need to coordinate between the school district, the employers, and the county so that we're educating the children for the jobs that are here to try to keep them here.
Well,
Instead of just sending them all off to college and then they never come back. If we're, if they don't want to go to college, then let's educate them and get them a job here if we can.
look at element 2 says economic development. I wonder if we're getting ahead of ourselves. Consider labor force and labor force characteristics, employment by place of work, residence, and analysis of the economic base. I don't know, it might belong there.
It could possibly go in objective 2.2.3, promote higher levels of education attainment and job readiness among county residents.
Well,
And is that correctly worded, promote higher levels of education? Because it's not necessarily that we need, quote, higher levels of education if you're talking, but rather skilled education.
Appropriate level.
To see,
Yeah, I like the word appropriate.
All right, so where are we? I'm sorry.
Objective 2.2.3, I think it's the third page.
the strategy 2.2.3.2 is support, promote.
I gotcha, okay, I gotcha.
Support and promote workforce development programs that address the skilled labor needs of current and potential employers, in the county in high-tech, high-demand pathways.
And I'm gonna step on some toes probably here, so,
Oh.
but, you know, I have a problem with work with the Oconee County School District, private schools and Tri-County Technical College. What does that mean?
Are you looking in the
How do
column?
we work with it? Well, I mean, I'm just going back to 2.1.2.4 simply because encourage, well, what do we do to encourage? Those are
General.
terms that are not addressable for us. So, you know, I mean, if you really want to go back there, somewhere in here, we need a person in this county who actually goes over there and sits down and talks with the person in the school district and says, what are y'all doing? And then comes back over here and says, this is what we're doing, so that we know what they're doing. And I know that's kind of a dingy thing, but it seems like to me, I know that some industries now are actually hiring educational consultants to address their need. They're coming into the school districts and saying, our company needs these people. What are you doing to provide these people? And I think it's sad that the companies are having to pay those people. I think the schools and the counties ought to be hiring those people and saying, what do you need? What can we do to help you come here to hire our people? What do you need? Because work with and encourage and promote, you know, do we take ads out? Is that how we promote? Because we all know how much ads are worth. And I don't mean to be sarcastic, but I don't know.
No, you need
It's going to be a very long night,
an
but
actionable.
you need an
actionable
actionable
that says
goal.
within the next 10 years, this county is gonna commit to tying these two things together, industry and labor force.
And it fixes that ongoing, because that's another one of those things that just drives me nuts on these plans. Ongoing, they can do that till 2095, and it's not done. We haven't accomplished anything. The planning commission will still be sitting here talking about the same stuff.
We should be identifying what labor forces need our attention.
Yeah, work with the economic development group and say, you know, what industries are looking at Oconee County? What do they need? You know, why did these two go over here? What did we not have that attracted whoever just recently went someplace else?
Unless anybody has an objection, Mr. Tom would like to say something else. 30 seconds or less.
2005, there was a bill passed through the legislature called the Education and Economic Development Act. And I spent a substantial number of years working on and getting that bill passed. It has to do with all the pathway programs and everything else. There are 12 educational districts that are part of that program. They have a representative affiliated with Tri-County Tech. And that whole purpose of that position and what they do is to be able to help coordinate this mechanism between business and education and industry and how these begin to meld together. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of information out about that. There is some things that are being done in the legislature right now to try and bring this back up and make it more of a concentrated effort. But in resolving your endeavor of how to get to the goal, I would say instead of encourage, I would say reach out, seek to attain these goals. Right.
Is that committee, you said there's a representative at Tri-County Tech?
Yeah.
Could we encourage a representative from the school district to be on that?
You could,
Well, you'd have to go, no, well, these are state appointments. So you'd have to go through the legislative delegation if you want to get a particular person into that position. But that person is available, and, I mean, just like if the county were to reach out and wanted to get in contact and have that person come in and talk about some of the different programs and how these can interface between what economic development is going on here, I'm positive that that person would be very interested in coming in. Yeah.
I can certainly do that. I don't know if we want to put that in the comp plan. We don't necessarily have to. We can, of course, but
I like this stuff in black and white in the comp plan because it sort of reminds me
Right.
that it says, oh, yeah, we hadn't done this. Or where does this stand? How flexible are we being, or have we closed the door to Tri-County's contact person?
so interface with the,
Regional Education Center
interface with the regional educational center rep in order to
Educate our population for the
Well,
jobs
And
that,
you could
are
simply
available.
say, put that in there, 2.1.2.4, interface with those people, add them to that list to improve educational quality and access for advanced training opportunities,
just
because that's their job.
is that it right?
2.1.2.4,
Is that it right? Here
add
as,
it right there, you just interface with the regional something, something, somethings
Find a different way of numbering these things.
in Oconee County School,
I can't
the
find
Oconee
the
County
map.
School
Oh,
District.
it's there it is, right there at the top.
Work with that person to,
Well, no, I wouldn't, I'd say interface with, to ensure, not improve, ensure the best, or optimize educational quality and access. And I'd throw Clemson University in there too, in that list. Not just under the accountable agencies, but under that,
on both sides.
on both sides, yeah.
so if I may. Strategy 2.1.2.4, it's the top of the second page, I believe. Interface with the Oconee County School District, private schools, and Tri-County Technical College to optimize educational quality and access to advanced training opportunities, and then include the Regional Educational Center representative under this column.
Yes, and then add Clemson University on both sides too.
Yeah, it'd be private schools, Tri-County Technical College, and Clemson University to continue to improve educational quality.
Motion, vote, Tyler.
I'll make a motion that we make those changes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
These minutes should be fun.
Yeah.
You got elected for that position, right?
Oh, no, I didn't.
I tried to help you out.
I know you did, I appreciate it.
Y'all'd have a whole meeting editing minutes if I was the same.
Sorry, ma'am, your microphone's broken.
Anything further?
Are we going over to the next page for health services?
So are we looking now at goal 2.2, promote a livable community in which promote a livable community in which county residents are healthy, supported, and productive? Is that the goal that we're looking at now? Okay.
I'll start off by saying that I here again, I run into these issues with encourage, promote, and encourage. Do we do a cheering section? Do we take out ads? I'd like to see something that we're doing.
So provide, so 2.2.11, instead of encourage the provision, say provide.
can the county provide a continuum of supportive services?
Say via the organizations, or what would you like to say? Or how can we word it better?
I would say incentivize. I know that's gonna step on some toes too, cause that implies money, but,
So encourage may not be the right word, but at the very least, our county residents have, in survey or whatever, said this is an important element to our county. So at the very least, we should be sending out a letter from county council to whatever departments that says, hey, this is important to our residents, hope y'all are doing a good job.
or I would
To me, that's what
instead ask
encourage-
them to send back, what are you doing
And maybe
to do
that's,
this?
so do we have the right to take that lead? I don't know,
I don't know either.
but it definitely needs to be in there.
So
I
in
just don't know
order
what
to,
the right word is.
in order to show you the valuable of the document, so let's say right now in our comprehensive plan, under 2.2.11, it said, send a letter out to these services to see what they're doing. Well, you could come up one day during new business and say, hey, 2.2.1, we should do this. Because we have that material, we have that backed up. So that's, to speak to what you just said, yes, we could certainly do that, although, you know, you could certainly ask council, things of that nature. But, yeah, we can write down what we'd like to. Like I said, this isn't the last time we'll look at this, so if you wanna put that in there, and we can certainly revisit it over time.
And to me, we shouldn't have to ask them to do these things that we know. In other words, we need to put in the comprehensive plan that that we expect the county to do these things. This is a goal so, the Council on Aging, the faith-based organizations, you can't enforce what they're doing by any means. I don't know. To me, that's simply an unreachable goal.
And these are all ongoing, so
So vague.
should we focus more on, like, measurable goals of, is there a way to look at that and find a number that it can be correlated to?
I believe all the ongoing ones were pulled from the last plan in place in here.
Yeah, that's kinda,
So. I don't know that we can do like the 2.2.1.1. To me, I visualize this solution that Council on Aging goes to the Home Builders Association and says, these three little old ladies at these addresses have fallen down front porches. The Home Builders Association works with the school program and says, I need 4 intern students to go help me rebuild this front porch. And the students learning the trade, and the Home Builders Association gets to promote it, the Council on Aging identifies the people, and all of a sudden this little old lady gets a new front porch. But is it our job, or is it our job simply to say, go team?
Yes, we can find a way I think that's, I mean, there's some way we can word something like that. That's a great idea. I think that accomplishes a lot.
Since you had, in that example, the problem, the solution, everything, maybe we're the coordinators. Maybe we need to coordinate, use the word coordinate in there.
There you go. That's actionable. Again, it's probably gonna require that somebody be hired, but
Or potentially a subgroup of volunteers is put together to tackle some of these other subsidiary ideas.
But like if we put coordinate in there and then, like you said, one night somebody brings it up in a future meeting and said, look, we need to address this situation. I know of 3 little ladies that need something done, and then we can say, well, we're gonna refer it to the Council on Aging and see if they'll get on it.
Yeah,
Y'all are on a roll here tonight. I like to not jinx it, but. So coordinate?
Yep.
I make the motion to put coordinate in there somewhere.
we'll just replace the word encourage with coordinate.
Replace encourage with coordinate.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adam put coordinate in there.
Sure.
Under 2.2.3.2, we talk about the very bottom one on that page. Address the skilled labor needs and current and potential employers, and we have high tech and high demand. Trade would be high demand, but if we mention high tech as a specific, we should mention trades as well. And we have such a shortage in this county of good trades. In almost any trade that you want to mention out there, a shortage.
I
Yeah,
agree.
we could just leave it with high demand pathways, couldn't we? I mean,
Either that or.
gives it some
employer.
flexibility.
I think describing it makes it clear, though, if we said trade and high tech, or I don't know. I mean, we could leave it generic like that, but I think the more specific we get, the more 4 or 5 years down the road from now, somebody says, well, what have we done about the trades?
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you there. I mean, we all want, lots of high-tech computer stuff, but, we need people that can swing a hammer and lay a block. And those are not low-paid jobs.
No, they're not low-paid jobs at all.
And I don't think we promote the trade industry well enough with our young people. Because for so long, they were just preached to, you gotta go to college, gotta go to college, gotta go to college. And now, we have so many people behind a desk that we don't have anybody to do the work.
Oh,
And
they're
we
so
need-
far in debt, they're in trouble.
Yeah, and then they, got $100,000 in student debt and can't get a job. We need people who can work.
So your motion was to change the words? and-
I think we need to add the word trade in there somewhere. If we've got high tech in there, I think we need to add trade or trades.
Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, sure. Next.
Going back up into healthcare, I'm sorry, but, encourage county healthcare providers in establishing the medical services and expertise needed by local residents, especially geriatric care for the elderly and accessible care for the veterans. What do we do to encourage that?
Oh.
We don't, I don't think we have a lot of control over it. The hospitals has taken over, like the doctor's offices and everything, so all you
Well, I
can do
mean,
is work with the hospital on that one.
Me personally, since we don't control the budget of the of the hospital, we don't control Rosa Clark, we don't control, I guess it says county health department, I guess we control their budget, right? Or do we not? Who?
The only thing you control is their rent.
Right.
Their rent, okay. Well, that doesn't do a whole lot to serve the people, so I personally would try to come up with a way perhaps to combine 2.2.1.2 and 2.2.1.3 that says that we will do those things by supporting the actuaries who are responsible for that. But we don't really have any, I mean, I'd strike them personally, but since we don't have the budget, I mean, we don't have any control over those things. It is going to be an issue ad infinitum. We've got chronic health conditions and we've got geriatric care, I'm not saying that all those, but can we not combine that and then simply say that we are going to work? If we don't do anything for them,
So if I may, 2.2.1.3, encourage county health care providers in establishing the medical services. So right now, we encourage industry to come here through our economic alliance. So if there was something of that matter, they could lean on this as saying, we have backup in the comprehensive plan saying that we have a method. So encourage or support could be broadly interpreted as we're going to kind of, say we want medical and high-tech medical and a new Johns Hopkins or a Mayo Clinic here, we would have to encourage them to establish medical services and expertise. So by us reaching out, let's just say we wanted OEA to reach out to them, that's the way we could provide it if looking
well,
at
if
that.
that be the case, then we would need to scratch those accountable agencies and put it in, because these are the people who are doing it. And we're not encouraging anything, I mean, we don't control them, so if we want to recruit other people here, that then goes to the OEA, right?
And that goes back to our couple goals ago.
And the chambers and
Right.
those things, so. You know, cause like 2.2.1.4, I would like to see us add the Y as part of the actionable agencies. Or accountable agent, whatever it is. Because that's gonna be a place where people can go. They have all kinds of programs, hopefully. I mean, I think that's the goal, right? For fitness, et cetera, healthy things, classes. And perhaps the Y could also be put under, the other two, the 1.2 and 1.3 for 2.2, whatever. It's scary.
So would the county be involved in something like when you go to Greenville, you go to some areas and there's medical parks and every doctor's office is centralized in 14 buildings in a campus-like area?
We're
Whereas
getting
in
there.
our county, everybody seems to be in somewhere else, whether it's an old Victorian house somewhere or a place on the corner that you can't find. Would it be the county's job to
Centralized.
be open to if the developer wanted to come in to help be supportive of that medical park concept? I mean, I don't know, I'm just trying to put something behind this that's actionable.
I mean, I think that's what, with these, if something came up, that county council could look at that and say, it says here, this is what we need to do. I don't know.
And then if you want to add people to make accountable, I think on, under the coordinate provision of continuum services, adequate health care facilities and services, and healthcare, establishing medical service, I think the school district should be under all of those, because educating people about the importance of your lifestyle in addition to, and that might also, by putting them in there, you might also enable the county then to say, well, we have in our comprehensive plan that we need to, help with healthy folks. So if you need a nurse to come in and teach classes about nutrition, let's find a way to budget that. All over the place, I see ads that you can go to some big auditorium and have a class where you're going to get rid of class 2 diabetes, and a lot of that has to do with diet. Why aren't those classes being offered in the schools? You know, why are we paying, or why is somebody, I don't know who's paying them, because they're free to attendees. But a lot of diabetics can control their diabetes through diet. So education probably would help some people. Do y'all have a problem with that? And to me, that would also give me a chance to kind of go back and rethink. I'll probably be dead by the time we rewrite this thing, but I hope I am anyway. they,
Wow.
no, I mean, I just hope that I'm not here when y'all are doing it again. I guess that was a
So you
better
mean
way to say that,
You
but
mean
I
the
mean.
center chair?
eh,
Is that what you meant?
This
Edit
is,
that
this is
out.
a gut-wrenching job. It really is, if we're gonna do it right. And there's a lot of people that we can work with and have some control over, and the school district is one of them, but we can't control Greenville Hospital. So if we need to get back into the younger people and keep them healthy while they're here, let's look at something we can do instead of cheering and
Water park.
whoop, whoop,
Promoting?
promote, yeah.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Sure, YMCA and school board can go in all of those ones, certainly. And then there was some, you had kind of mentioned, so are we good on having 2.2, 1.2, and 1.3 in there to stay in there? We've been talking about it, then you mentioned scratch, and I just want to make sure that we were,
No, I'm just saying, if it was me, I would scratch it. It's not, but I'm not me. It's a whole bunch of us, so, yeah. Those are very important goals. I'd like to see them combined if we could at some point, perhaps.
When you say they're important goals and then combining them, does that water it down by combining?
I don't think, not if you,
So I have no problem.
because you've
So-
got facilities and services for all segments and chronic, and you've got people who need, great needs. So I think if you,
Would it basically just, the second one is just adding in like geriatric care for the elderly and accessibility for veterans? Can we not just add that kind of onto the first one?
leave the first one is support access versus promote, right? Is that correct?
Right.
yeah.
And then after heart conditions, tie in the geriatric accessible care for veterans, local residents, 2.12.
Yeah, that's good. And then the other thing that we probably need to do is we need to add, 501c3s.
Not-for-profits?
Nonprofits, yeah. Because we have a number of them serving the veterans, and if there's something that we can do to help them, then if we can incentivize them by saying, here, let's come up with some grants that would help some of these not-for-profits.
So that's your motion.
Yes, sir. As long as I don't have to quote it.
To combine and execute the edits as indicated.
Yes, that sounds good.
I have a
To
motion.
add nonprofits to all accountable agencies under health.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We did change the, continuing on down that page, 2.23, the objective in blue, to scratch out higher levels. It just says promote education, attainment, and job readiness among county residents.
I believe.
We did that already, is that right?
Spoke about it, I don't know if there's any,
I don't think we actually,
We didn't vote on
Is
that.
that, do we want?
I like that idea.
Yeah. Is that your motion?
It's my motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I didn't have any problem with 2.3. Except that I didn't understand what service delivery planning was.
In other words, how do we get the policemen from point A to point B when they need to be there? And how do we plan to make sure they've got enough ambulances and enough police cars and enough, is that?
yeah, and also, it says utilities in there as well, that could speak to any number of
Yeah.
infrastructure utilities. So for instance, Walhalla just issued a bond for their water plant. You know, if they wanted to work with let's just say West Union was that close and they're not gonna use it, they could say they could work with West Union, or though they could service the county in that area. That would be that kind of service. I believe that's what
Then I didn't have.
The only thing I'd add not profits to 2.2.3.3. That's your storytellers and your church groups and your pre-Ks and your homeschoolers.
So do we feel good at this point in time, after going over this for the first time, that we can start addressing the timeframes for this, or would you like to talk more about the content, or what would you all like to do at this point?
Well, let's hold off on the timeframes until the next meeting.
So,
I mean,
okay.
to set those. Is that okay with everyone?
I'll also be giving you another element at the next meeting, and then we'll get a couple more in fairly rapid succession.
The population element, we really don't have to do anything with, right?
The backup material, you're certainly welcome to edit it, but we're gonna have to edit it. I would prefer that you all edit it up here. So if you have certain things you want changed, we can start, you know, we can do that line by line, or however you all would like to do it. It just, when I started getting edits in, they were conflicting, and they weren't always, you know. So if we're gonna edit it, and I have no issue at all taking out, adding, whatever, but it does have to be done up here as a group, please. Doesn't have to be done, that's.
If y'all need this as a background material, I'm okay with leaving this as written by the people that we hired to do it, and then allowing us to supplement the summary and make sure that it's legible and easy to read. Does that make sense?
That's exactly the avenue I wanted to go down, was that we have a timeline to meet, and it's gonna take a great deal of time and effort. And maybe it's best to leave the text alone, but pay attention to the executive summary and spend our effort back here on these goals and strategies. And I think there is one last element called the investment. Help me out
The
here.
priority investment element, yes, sir.
Priority investment element that we really want to spend some time on.
That'll be the last one. It'll basically take, so the way we're going through these is that, you know, we start with the population, we start with the people of the county, and where they live in houses, how they align, transportation kind of thing. So it does follow a somewhat logical progression of how we're gonna go through them. It's not mandated that we go through that way, it's just that the way they're being produced it's a logical progression. So at the next meeting, so you all are happy, you all don't have to vote on this, you all voted on the individual things. I will do the edits, and I'll give you a red line version of this and also a clean version of it. And then you all can look at the timeframes of the next meeting, as well as you're gonna look at the goals element for the housing population, for the housing, the goals for the housing element, at the next meeting as well. Does that feel good? Is that a good thing?
So we're gonna leave the text essentially alone, is that not right?
On the population
On the
element.
population
Yeah.
element,
At this
yeah.
point, I believe that's my interpretation of what you all have said.
All right, well, does anyone have any old business? Okay, I do have some new business. It won't take me a second. Okay. There's a proposed development in the works for 275 new houses along South Cove Road. The main traffic route will spill out onto Blue Ridge Boulevard from Kiwi School Road while all of those roads, South Cove, Kiwi School Road, and Blue Ridge are state-owned, it would be negligent for the planning commission to just say nothing. As a matter of conversation, the back of the envelope calculation are used to estimate traffic or 9 trips per day per car, or 9 cars. The round trip for each home, so that's gonna equal about 2,400 trips in and out a day per home, or not per home, but for the whole thing. And, what I would like to do, and I've talked to different people about it, I'd like to propose a letter, on behalf of the planning commission, if y'all so, agree, asking the council to reach out to the SDOT and the developer and asking them to work toward preventive actions or solutions for the traffic and life safety issues that's going to arise with the 275 new homes when they're completed out there. There's gonna be a lot of, the way it is standing now, there's gonna be a lot of gridlock and different things if we don't do some improvements, or if the state doesn't do some improvements to those roads. There are alternatives to getting back to 28. It's just the railroad right-of-way is one of the problems, but it's not impassable, but it's there. So I would like to, with Adam's help, get a letter together to send to council and bring it back at the next meeting for y'all to approve or disapprove, to get council to just look into it and see what they can do to encourage SDOT to look into some better ways of fixing these roads or exiting off of these houses.
So you're saying in the area in gray is the proposed development of 275 homes?
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that they're gonna access South Cove Road via this access, or they're gonna access Indian Oaks Road?
They're
To
actually gonna
South Cove.
come out on South Cove, right around the,
It's near the vocational school,
yeah,
career center,
Right.
Tribble Center.
Tribble Center, that's, I couldn't think of it, right in that area,
I
and then,
think I've already heard something on the news, though, about them doing a study on this. Has anybody checked to
There
see?
are 2 studies that are gonna go on. But I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt to send a letter, just to let them know that we are watching this and that we're involved and that we wanna be a part of it. From what I understand, the developer, of course, is gonna have to do a traffic study. Second of all, the administrator there has said that he's going to have another study conducted to be sure that this first one is valid and accurate. But it certainly wouldn't hurt
But
to,
this is in city limits,
No.
right?
not all of
it
it.
is,
Yes,
Not-
so we don't really
South
have
Cove is not in the
jurisdiction.
city.
no.
I'm not
The
worried about the
development
development.
is-
They've already been approved to build the homes. That's done, and there's nothing. What I'm more concerned with is those 2,400 trips in and out of that park on a daily basis that's gonna block or cause problems on South Cove Road, Kiwi School Road, and eventually out on Blue Ridge Boulevard. Number one, South Cove Road is not big enough. That intersection at Kiwi School Road is not wide enough to accommodate 2,400 trips back and forth without, I mean, I'm not saying that there's gonna be massive wrecks there, but there could be problems. The road's not wide enough. The road's not built to handle that much
There's
traffic.
already a study being done.
But what I'm asking is for a letter to send to council, for them to look into it and get that, for them to be a part of it, the council. We can't tell the state what to do, but we can encourage them to do things. We're the ones driving on those roads. Those people in Washington, or in Columbia, ain't doing crap, but we're the ones that have to deal with this, so we should be in some way, as a county, be involved in, because we can fix the road. I mean, we can use that, what do you call it, seed money or whatever it is?
See funds?
Funds.
We could, use maybe some of that, because the school district owns some of the property, that we could maybe get access to.
So you're asking council to do what?
I'm just wanting to get a letter together, and I'll bring it to you. I will get with Adam and we'll word it like it's supposed to be, because I'm not real good at that, but just get them to reach out and recommend certain things. I already talked to the representative of District 4 today about it, and he said it was a good idea for us to get a letter to them and then they would reach out to SDOT and the developer to find the best way, because there is other ways out of this development.
So when you say certain things.
Well,
you
there's
want
other ways.
council to certain things.
Look into other ways of getting in and out of this development. They can go to South Cove, they can also use the Covidian access. The only thing is you gotta have the train. Covidian is crossing the tracks there anyway, or they never got permission to do it, according to the guy I talked to today, but they have access, so it'd be easier to use that and cross the track, make it wider, than it would coming out and interfering with the boat traffic, the people that use South Cove Park. I just feel that there's 2,400 additional travels in and out of this park is gonna interfere and could cause problems on South Cove Road. With our park there, it could cause accidents, because people going up and down the road in boat, pulling boats and things.
South Cove doesn't concern me as much as Kiwi School at that traffic light, that thing during rush hour, holy moly.
But you
You're
have
back
2,400.
up half a mile.
But you fixing to alleviate a lot of that traffic with the vocational center moving.
Oh, is that, okay.
Yeah,
But that's
like
not
the
gonna
career
work.
center
When the career
moving,
center lets out, it gets backed up some.
right,
It gets
yeah.
really backed
You're
up.
gonna alleviate a lot of that first thing in the morning, right at the middle of the day, and then the 3 o'clock.
But we're
So
adding
the-
plus traffic there, even if,
So-
without the career center, we're still adding more cars
At that stoplight
Okay.
right there.
at that
About-
question.
But this is just a letter asking them to look into it, talk to these people and see what can be done to improve what is on the table right now. as far as the
Before we
road.
start sticking our nose into this thing, could we have a map that shows the road plan for this development and shows the city boundaries?
I think we need to let
After
the
this-
studies that they've already doing, get the results of those, and then if we don't like that, then we step in.
Well,
But
that's
they're
the
already
problem with this
trying to
county.
do it.
That's the problem with the county now. We're reactive and not proactive. We wait until something happens and, oh, we should have done something.
Do,
We don't have legal counsel here. Do we have the right to ask for the studies, as, does county council have the right to ask for a copy of the studies?
If they're presented to the city of Seneca in an open forum, then we should be able to get them. I don't see why not, if they are presented in that way. If they're in some kind of incentivization or executive session, I can't say. We'd have to talk to Mr. Root about that.
if,
The studies happen, the developer moves forward, at what point do
we as a county become aware, is there a stopgap location where we go, wait a second, that it has to go through our approval, as a county, or is it just done and then we see the additional traffic?
I mean, I
It's
thought
done
it
and we
was
see
the
the
planning
additional.
commission, not the oops, we should have commission.
Well, that's what
So-
I'm wondering.
It's all state roads. South Cove, Blue Ridge, and Kiwi are all state roads.
Not county roads.
Right.
But
And the land, all the development itself, although so where the Covidian plant is, that's still in the county, but it's owned by a Blue Ridge Holding, a development company. That's in the county, but the project itself has annexed themselves or got annexed into the city of Seneca. So
So-
we don't have any jurisdiction over that.
So right now, there's,
We don't have any jurisdiction on anything over any of it?
That's correct.
And that also means county council wouldn't have jurisdiction.
Oh, that's correct.
is county council aware?
I would think they are, yes, sir. I don't know.
I know one
but I
of
would
those, I don't
imagine
know
they
about the
are.
others.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the news. They know what's going on. I knew what was going on, and that's rare.
I know, my county council member is very aware of it and, concerned about it.
I just think we could,
There's the church.
I don't know. I mean, I
What
just
do
hate
we-
to be one of those things that we sit back and don't do anything and don't voice our opinion, then all of a sudden, we have 2,400 different cars on this road, and then we have accidents for the summer, we kill,
Okay.
I hate to say that word, but someone gets hurt that come to the Oconee County to visit, and they're going to South Cove to play on their boat or whatever, and you got all this new traffic there, and we've done nothing to maybe make it safer,
So, okay,
and
okay, so let's back up, because there's, try to narrow something down into something that's actionable. We don't have jurisdictional control. We are, however, the planning commission. County council apparently is concerned about it, although I've not heard from anybody specifically. Would it be something that county council publicly announce concern? Even though we have no jurisdictional whatever over it, we at least as a planning body or council body has said, this is a concern, we sure wish they would come talk to us. Is that something that is actionable that we could in fact do? In other words, we've gone on public record that while we don't have a say in the matter, we are concerned.
Does county council need us for that? If they're the ones that's, if they're the ones that's brought up the concern, and we can't do anything about it because we don't have jurisdiction, then why does it land here? Why does it not just the county council come up and say, we're concerned?
Only because of what Gwen was saying, as far as we're the planning commission, it does give us some legitimacy to say, as opposed to people coming up to us 3 years from now going, oh, the planning group, why did y'all let this subdivision come in this way? When all this extra stuff is now an issue, more traffic at the light or whatever it might be. Instead of us saying, well, it wasn't in our jurisdiction, we could say, however, as a county at large, we did voice publicly that we were concerned. I mean, to me, that's the only thing we can say.
it just gets
What
people
harm
talking.
does it do?
It just gets them, maybe gets them talking, he comes up with a better
What can it do to
solution.
simply say that we, because I mean, I came by there, through there the other night, it was dusky dark, so there was no school there. And I missed 2 red lights trying to come from Sheep Farm Road and take a right onto there, go down past Thrift Development, Blue Ridge Bank, stop right there. I needed to turn left and go up 28. I missed 2 stoplights for all the traffic that was coming off of Bountyland, off of Kiwi School Road, right there, coming across the railroad track, and between turning left and coming straight across. I just sat there through 2 red lights. For me, when somebody said there was gonna be 275 more homes right there, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I gotta find another way to go up, to get to Walhalla.
I think if we can't do anything about it, we can't do anything about it.
I'm not-
But
yeah.
I do think that we could potentially provide legitimacy to the planning board to say, we are aware of things that are going on, and while we don't have control of it, we sure aren't necessarily approving of the way things are being done.
There might be people that follow the planning commission that don't know about this thing, who would go, oh, what are they concerned about? And then they might go and ask, say, for example, their councilman, and say, I'm not sure is this a good thing? What are we gonna do? Is there, can we have a second driveway? Is there an alternative?
But are we getting people up in the air before necessary? Because they're doing these studies and we don't have the results of them. They could be planning to widen Blue Ridge Boulevard all the way up through there. We don't know that.
Is that what a traffic study does? Does it tell them what to do?
I'm not sure of the scope of what their project is. It certainly could. I don't know.
I understand we can't do anything, and this is not something we have authority over, but it doesn't hurt to ask the council to talk with these people, for them to find out what's going on. Some of them may not know, but it gets the public to know that there's gonna be 2,400 more cars through the day on them roads that we already having to set at red lights and wait on them to turn green 2 to 3 times to get out on 28 now. It's gonna be a lot worse when this development is finished. even though it's a state, the state should know our concerns because we're the ones living here. They're not living here.
Right, I'm just
But it
saying,
doesn't hurt to write a
should we
letter.
hold it just a little bit longer until the traffic study's done? Because we don't need to get everybody in the county in an uproar when we don't know what the traffic study's gonna say.
Let's see what Tom's wanting to say.
Go ahead, Tom.
These are state roads, and the traffic studies are very specific. There's very certain standards that these traffic studies have to be done. And what those traffic studies are gonna tell that developer, regardless of what the city does, is because of that increase in traffic, it's gonna tell them how they're gonna have to build their entrance and have areas where you can ease off the highway and get back on the highway. Is that gonna do anything to change the traffic on South Cove? Not really. I mean, there's gonna be more traffic, no question about it. Is it gonna change how things happen at 28? No. But you got half the lake that comes down through Kiwi School Road trying to get onto 28. That is never gonna change. And so, one, you really should wait and see what the traffic studies say. But two, the county ain't got a dog in this fight, period. This is a developer, the city, and the state. Now, are there politics involved? Oh yeah, big time politics involved. Is the county council aware of it? Absolutely. It's already been brought up in council. So, this is politics, pure and simple.
Tom, is it not true that there's gonna be a second study also?
There is. Now, will it give any different information from the first study? I doubt it, because both these studies, again, in order for them to meet the state requirement, this study was gonna have to be done no matter what. Every developer, if you put in a development of certain size, it's gonna go in and it's gonna impact a state road, you have to do these studies, and it has to meet these standards, and those standards are set by the state. And any of those standards that the developer's already meeting, those same standards are gonna be in the one that the city does. So, I wouldn't expect them to vary very much in what comes out in those studies. They're gonna be pretty similar. Or they should be, or the standards aren't right.
And I just want to make one comment after hearing that. I listen a lot of times to the news and things about Woodruff Road. I don't go to Greenville. I don't shop at anything over there because there's nothing there that I would risk driving through the disaster that Woodruff Road is to get to. But I also know that the citizens who live anywhere near Woodruff Road are not happy. But everything on Woodruff Road was done between the developer and the state and whoever. So, for me, because our job is the planning commission, we are supposed to be the ones who see 10 or 15 or 20 years down the road. Just the description of this, and I don't know anything about the politics, I don't know anything about anything, but just the description of that many cars coming onto that intersection at any point in time, I would like to know that we went on record simply saying, we're concerned, we hope you're going to give some thought to this. And perhaps people in the neighborhood will say, well, why don't you put a second access over here? Or what if we did this?
That was sort of my
That's
reasoning
just
for the letter.
just stimulate thought, because a lot of people sit at home and don't do anything until they hear how tragic it is or how bad it is. They go along trusting people to do the best thing for them, and until you make them think that there might be something bad happen, they don't care. They just think, it won't happen to me. So I personally will go on record saying I wish that the planning commission would at least express some concern over development that would bring 2,400 cars into that busy of an intersection at any given point in time. But I'll go with the group.
Well, what other areas outside of our jurisdiction should we,
This particular,
exercise our influence on?
this particular intersection is not outside our jurisdiction. It's in the county. The development itself is in the city of Seneca. The road is in the county. Even though it's a state road, it's still inside this county. And we should all be concerned with roads, state, county, city, or otherwise, that's inside this county. We should make sure and voice our opinion that they get maintained, that they have proper entrance, egresses, and all this good stuff. That is our concern on the planning commission and on council as well. We're here to try our best to keep the public, to keep the people, the citizens of this county as safe as possible. And if you don't have a concern about a road that's gonna have all that much traffic on it, that's already backed up at times now, then there's no need to have a planning commission. We shouldn't even plan on anything. Just let it happen and we'll worry about it when it gets here. That's what's wrong with this county and all the rest of them in this state now. We're here to plan. All I'm asking is to have a letter sent to council voicing that we are concerned about that particular intersection and we think it needs to be looked at. Whether they have studies or not, that's up to the state. But at least the state knows that we are concerned about the safety of our citizens in this county. That's all I was asking.
I go back to my original thought, what harm does it do to do this?
I'm a fan of going on record saying that the planning commission has concerns over traffic flow. I don't know that there's anything we can do, but from a planning commission standpoint, whatever that means of going on record, whether that means us having this conversation right now, or whether this means sending a letter to county council, or whether it means sending a letter to the state, that we hope that they look very carefully into the traffic patterns, especially as it affects the Kiwi School intersection with Highway 28.
I think a point you just brought up, if we're gonna do anything, I think we're better to send a letter to the DOT than we are to send it to county council. I mean, if you want it to have some teeth, if you want it to be able to do something,
Maybe the state gets in there and waves that traffic light, or redesigns that traffic light.
But can we send straight to DOT? Do we have to go through council and let them do that?
Let me get back to you on that.
I don't-
To me,
I
it
don't
feels
know,
better to go up
there's
to
a
council
step.
and over,
Yeah.
but, let me get back to you on that. So, we're actually having a good conversation, there's no letter in front of you all to critique or otherwise look at. So perhaps Mr. Pearson can come up with a letter, and the next meeting, he can bring it to y'all and see how y'all feel about it. And then you can discuss whether to wait until after traffic study, whom to send it to, that way you have something in front of you, that way it's a little more finite versus us kind of chasing a ghost here. So, Mr. Pearson, if you so choose to bring a letter.
Okay, I'll get with you and maybe you can help me word it. Since you're the secretary. Gwen.
Very much.
Okay, if there's nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Favor? Thank you, guys.
What happened to 7:30? It came and